Hello, American Patriots. Douglas Ducote here, the founder and CEO of Veterans United for Justice, veteran law enforcement officer, retired U.S. Army, and the co-host of a Real World Witness radio show. Well, once again, President Trump is surrounded by controversy that is made up by the far left-wing media, Democrats, and those that are basically far left liberals. What is it this time? Well, he goes over to France to mark the 100-year ending of World War I and was scheduled to attend on Saturday a memorial service that was going to be held at one of the cemeteries in France. And he decided not to go based on weather. And that's what they're telling you. And the conservatives and liberals, and even those in France, are trashing him because the excuse that was used was bad weather. And even some from previous administrations are slamming the Trump for not going, saying there's always backup plans. Why weren't they used? Why didn't he go by car? The weather was too bad for his helicopter to fly. And on and on and on and on and on. So let me try and explain, for what it's worth, to those of you that are out there believing what's coming out of CNN and MSNBC and the Democrats and everyone else that is slamming this president for this big mistake that he made. First, what does it require to move a president from point A to point B? I happen to have a little bit of insight into that. During my military service, was involved several times with transport of a president in areas that I happen to be in. And that's about as far as I can say with that. Also, I have friends that are part of Secret Service. So I know exactly what is required to get a president from point A to point B, here in America and overseas. Overseas, it's a little more difficult. But let's just look at the basic plan as to how it works. Let's say the president wants to go somewhere in Washington, D.C., out to dinner with his wife. Obviously, he goes by car. And there is a huge group of people, Secret Service and law enforcement, that is involved to make sure he gets from the White House to that restaurant and back safely. It is a choreographic event that is pre-planned in advance, exactly where everybody's going to be. Everything's checked out ahead of time, overpasses, intersections, buildings, where somebody could possibly do some damage from a higher location, maybe what would happen to JFK, locations where somebody could set off a detonated device, and things of that nature. Big, huge event, okay? Anytime he leaves the compound of the White House. Now, let's say he's going to leave Washington, D.C., and he's going to go to California. He flies via Air Force One, presidential jet, takes him there. With that is also U.S. Air Force cargo aircraft that carry his security team, his vehicle, other vehicles that will carry other members of the administration, as well as helicopters, so that once he gets to his location, he can either be helicoptered to anywhere else he's going to go, or transported via car if it's only going to be a short distance. And when I say transported by car, if the president has to travel more than 50 miles away from the base location where Air Force One is, it's not going to happen. All right, there's no way to keep the president protected when you're looking at that type of a distance. So they look at going via helicopter. If the weather's too bad for the helicopter to fly and it's going to be a long distance, Guess what? The president's not going. That has happened with every president in the history of America. That's nothing new. If the weather's too bad to fly the helicopter, they're not going to drive, and in this case over in France, it was round trip 5 hours. Never going to happen. It isn't the president's decision. The decision to ground the aircraft was done by the Marine Corps pilots, their aviation crew, in conjunction with Secret Service. The weather is too bad, regardless of what all these armchair quarterbacks are telling you with the news media and previous administrations. Oh, he's afraid of a little weather. Oh, how's that possible? All right, so doesn't matter. The president has no say-so in it. In a discussion, the aircraft's not going to fly. My job in the military was aviation in the Army, as well as when I was in the Air Guard. And trust me, you do not want to be flying in really bad weather in a helicopter. And in this case, it's the president. Never going to happen, period. So he's in Paris, the location that they had planned to go for this ceremony for the ending of World War I is at a cemetery where their American soldiers are buried. And the weather's too bad, not going to do it. There was no thought to go via car. Why? Because of the distance. If you can't safely move the president here in America more than 30, 45 minutes, hour tops via vehicle, how in the hell are you going to do it in a foreign country? And do you realize what would be involved to do that? Even here in America, when the president is going to go via car somewhere, let's say in the case I gave you a while ago, California, Air Force One flies over to California, the president helicopter can't go to the location he wants to go to because of weather, they're going to go by car. Let's say he leaves, they land in Moffett Air Force Base, or Federal Air Force Base in California in Sunnyvale. And he's going to attend an event in San Francisco, California. All right, so to move the president from Moffett to San Francisco, in between that, San Mateo County, their sheriff's office has to be involved. San Francisco County, their sheriff's office has to be involved. San Francisco PD has to be involved. All the little towns in between will have to be involved. Sunnyvale Police Department, Redwood City Police Department, everything. BART Police Department, Millbury Police Department, all the different agencies between these 2 points now have to give up people to be involved to make sure that that area that the president will be traveling on is safe and nobody's going to try and kill the president. All right? Planned out way in advance. And Secret Service is on pins and needles when he has to go this distance. Now, that's not going to ever happen and be approved in a foreign country. It doesn't matter who the president is. It doesn't matter what he says. He doesn't have the option of saying, I don't care. You're going to take me in my car and we're going to drive this 5.5 hour round trip because I'm going there for this ceremony. They're going to laugh at him. He doesn't have that power. The Secret Service makes those determinations because they are responsible for his protection and the protection of his family. Period. That's how it works, my friends. And CNN doesn't get it. Well, let me back up. No, CNN does get it. They know what it requires. They know exactly why the president did not attend this event. Okay? But they're going to go with the narrative that he's a horrible person, he's disgracing veterans, how could he possibly do this? Look at what kind of person you elected, and they're just going to slam him and slam him and slam him no matter what, as if it's all his fault because the weather was bad. Secret Service said we're not going by vehicle, it's too far. And the Marine aviation crew said we're not going by helicopter because of the weather. The president is then out of the loop on that. Trust me, that's how it works. Are there other people involved at the White House level, in the administration, chief of staff, things of that nature? Yes, there are. Okay, so they were able to send people like the chief of staff and lower dignitaries via car to that location because you don't have to have this huge caravan of people to protect them. All right, just a few people. And it doesn't look like this gigantic motorcade traveling across the country. Nobody would know then who they are. So what he did do, that the press isn't going to tell you, is he did go to an American cemetery where there are war dead from World War I. Okay? There was only a few miles outside of Paris. He did go there. He did attend a ceremony there at the cemetery. Okay? He also did attend several events that were set up to mark this. Memorial services and other events showing for the ending of World War I. They're not going to talk about that either because it doesn't fit their narrative of making him out to be this horrible person that hates veterans. That's how it works. That's what they're up to. That's their agenda. That's everything wrapped up in a nutshell. They want you to believe, and sadly all those on the left and the Democrats, and the Democrats in Washington, D.C., the ones that have been in Congress for a while, they know how this works, okay? Even the liberal press corps that's traveling with the president knows how this works, and that he had no say-so in the event that was canceled due to weather, period. But they know it, doesn't matter. They're going to go with the narrative that he's a horrible president. He doesn't like veterans. He doesn't like our military. How could he dare do this? And then they have all these other people chipping in from previous administrations, also tweeting and using different forms of social media to tell you how bad President Trump is and how disgraceful this was that he did this over in France. Folks, the old saying, if Trump tomorrow walked on water like Jesus did, CNN and MSNBC would only report that Trump can't swim. So it doesn't matter what the guy does. They're going to still continue to trash him. That's their agenda. That's what they plan to do. So for any of you that happen to pick up a newspaper or see on a news program where they're talking negative about Trump and this visit over in France and not attending this one particular ceremony, let it go in one ear and out the other, because it's more fake news and total bullshit by the liberal media. I hope I made that very clear. Hope everybody was able to understand that. And for those of you that are liberals and Democrats that watch my program that come on here like trolls and start trashing me and saying, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, bring it on. I welcome you, because every click is just that much more money going to help veterans. Folks, as always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our first responders, our law enforcement officers, their families, our president, our country. Hope you all have a wonderful and blessed day. For now, I'm Douglas Ducote, and I'm out.